We're here today with James Dupré, and we were talking a little bit before we went on camera about CMA Fest and this being your first one. Let's start out talking a little bit about that, and then we'll get into the new music and some stuff that you've got coming up.
Yeah, this is my first CMA Fest, and it was just so exciting to meet all the fans and people that, a lot of people that saw me on The Voice, but then there were also a lot of people that have told me that they were watching my YouTube videos since like 2007.
Right.
So, it's really cool, just meeting everybody and getting to tell them my story and about my new album coming out and everything. So It was a blast.
One of the things about CMA Fest, especially from the fans' perspective, is up and close and all with the artist. And there's always that one surprise that you just like, oh, that I never would have guessed that. Did you have anybody that either brought something to show you or that told you something that really kind of surprised you that they knew about or had?
No, not as far as like memorabilia or anything. I mean, there was one lady that I actually told this story the other day. She had like different signatures like on both sides of her neck, and she wanted me to sign her neck. I just thought that was interesting. Just a new way to approach CMA Fest, I guess. Yeah,
you see and hear everything, that's for sure. It's kind of a competition to outdo sometimes, I think, to see who can come up with the next cool thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that next year you'll come in and even have more. Obviously you're gonna have more success between now and then, so there'll be a lot more people in your lines and a lot more stories. And
I hope that someday I could, I'll have someone bring up a really old photo of me that I signed years ago or something. I think that'd be really cool.
Well, speaking of really old, because you are just ancient, you started out in a very non-traditional way getting into the music business, and you did kind of the YouTube thing, and Ellen kind of discovered you way back. Talk about what that felt like to go from being in a private, you're recording these somewhere in your home or somewhere where there's nobody around, to going to Ellen. That had to be huge.
Yeah, and I didn't know what to expect really, because I had never even been on local television or anything. So when I was a paramedic, when I first became a paramedic, I said, okay, this is a temporary job, and I want to work on my music and really hit it hard, and hopefully it'll go somewhere. So after 3 years of doing these YouTube videos, and I got this email from a producer on the Ellen Show, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I really didn't believe it. I thought it was a joke. And I called the number, and they asked if I could show up next week, and I remember just thinking, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never, this is national television, and I'm just supposed to go over there and just be normal and perform and everything.
Right.
After just sitting in my house and doing YouTube videos all these years. So, yeah, it was definitely like jumping in on the deep end.
Right.
But I really tried to take it in stride, and I just, I tried to do the best I could without showing how nervous I was, and I think it went pretty well for my first time. I'm
assuming at that point you had no team behind you. You didn't have publicists, management, anything like that to guide you and give you any input.
Right. I had a personal manager who is still my manager now. His name's David Batten. And he was we were both very new to the music industry, but we were kind of partnering up to make things happen in Nashville. But at that time, nothing was really going on too much, and so when Ellen happened, it definitely kicked things into high gear.
Absolutely.
And it went from being a hobby, making YouTube videos, to something that
real.
Something that I considered, hey, maybe this is actually happening and possible.
They always say baptism by fire is the best way to go. So I guess that was your flame right there.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the new song that you got coming out, and it's called Stoned to Death, and the lyrics are kind of depressing, actually. Why did you pick that as the song that you wanted to release?
I think Stoned to Death, when I first heard that song a few years ago, it was really something that it reminded me of a lot of the really heart-wrenching songs that I always wanted to hear George Jones sing growing up, you know. I know George Jones had some happy, positive songs, but most of what he was good at, I think his greatest songs were the ones that really were so raw and just made you really realize, like, wow, you know, this music can actually make you feel a lot, you know, and that's really the kind of music, the kind of songs that I've always been drawn to. So when I heard Stoned to Death, it was exactly that song, you know, and you know, when we were looking to find the title track or what the title of the album would be, me and Jordan Lenning, the producer, we always said we took Stoned to Death and used it as an example of what we wanted to wrap the rest of the record around.
Right.
And so it was only fitting that we made it the title track.
And you wrote most of the rest of the songs on the album. There's just a few that you didn't have your hands in the writing. So
yeah, I co-wrote 7 of the 10. Stoned to Death, Hurt Good, and
one other one.
Stoned to Death, Hurt Good, and Perfect Time. Sorry, were the 3 that I didn't write on. But you know, and I love those songs just as if they were my own. You know, I mean, I'm just really proud of the entire record.
How long did it take in deciding the songs and writing? How old are some of these songs? And were they just for this album, or are these things that you've had in your back pocket for a while?
They've kind of been, it's a range of years, you know, they've kind of been around for a while. Sad Song, for example, is a song that one of the first songs that I wrote when I moved to Nashville with Jeremy Spillman in 2011. And I didn't know it at the time, but it fits so perfectly on this album because I guess it's sort of, Sad Song kind of explains the reason that I sing all these other songs that are on the album, you know, so in a weird way it fit, even though I wrote it so many years before, it kind of
still
fits perfectly,
fit in.
you know.
Yeah. Well, let's go a little bit, kind of fast forward, and you also were on The Voice, and that's kind of where a lot of America got to see you afterwards repetitively. And talk a little bit about that experience and how you think that it is, you know, benefited you to jumpstart you to where you are.
Well, being on The Voice was just, I mean, for lack of a better way of saying it, was just a lot of fun. You know, it was a great experience. You know, I think one of my favorite things about that, you know, basically all of 2015 was I was dealing or somewhat involved with being on the show. So that entire year, I got to be really close with a lot of the other contestants, and those relationships, some of which are, you know, I'm still close to a few of them, and we still talk pretty regularly. So I think that was one of the most important things that occurred on that. But working with Adam Levine, and then of course his mentor was John Fogerty, and so I got to work with John Fogerty. I mean,
who doesn't want to work with him, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was probably the highlight of the entire experience. But you know, they really focused on, and I focused on you know, my stage presence, and I before being on The Voice, I wasn't really used to performing without holding my guitar, and the entire time I was on The Voice, I didn't use a guitar. So it was kind of like, what do I do with my hands? I kind of felt naked, you know,
absolutely.
like
yeah.
But you know, so I had to like work with the choreographer and just, you know, that kind of thing. That was a whole new, you know, ball game for me, and so I definitely took a lot away from the experience, and the fans and the momentum that they helped put back into my career. You know, everything it's just been really great.
So when you look at the different ways that you've been exposed, so you started with your YouTube and then the Ellen and The Voice, what do you like the most? Are you a small stadium where you can get intimate and personal with fans? Do you prefer being in a larger area? What's kind of your thing when it comes to being able to perform and interact with people?
I think I always really like the intimacy of, you know, I started out playing acoustic shows, you know, so that's always kind of inherently intimate, I guess. But I haven't played stadiums or anything like that, and I would love to. But I think I would still try to approach it in that same manner, you know. I mean, my current live show right now consists of a 6-piece band, and you know, we're playing in, you know, festivals and big crowds, you know.
Sure.
But every show I try to at some point do an acoustic set.
Slow it down.
Just because that's how I started, and that's how I feel. You know, I feel really comfortable doing that, and I try to make the fans feel that. You know, I try to make them feel like, even if there are thousands of people, I still try to make it feel like an intimate setting.
Right, they're the one. It's where I'm talking
Right.
to you. So, well, we're very excited, and I know that, you know, we'll be having videos coming out with you and all kinds of other things. So we're looking forward to talking to you again and hearing lots of more music.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Awesome.
Yay.
Have you heard the album?
I just listened to the stuff that,
The streaming link.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool if you need it.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
We get a quick picture. Oh, you found a penny. How about that? Lucky you. You gonna take the picture, Christian, or you want to be in it?
Oh,
You'll take it.
take it.
My